All right, let's talk about pull. So, pull is a little trickier. Tough to break it into categories based on body fat because we have equipment that allows for vertical pulling regardless. Um, but overhead clearance, basically, clearance for loading overhead is the dividing factor. And if the client puts their arm overhead and their elbow can't clear the ear, like relatively comfortably, then loading overhead is guaranteed to cause joint discomfort both during and after the session for that client. I don't like joint discomfort for my clients. It doesn't increase adherence. So if they cannot load overhead, then you just load in whatever plane they can load, right? A bird dog row is my favorite for someone who really can't. You can get a good contraction, and if you block their spine with your body, you can use the lat pull down reasonably well. There are a few hammer strength machines that work well, but by and large, I try and get everyone onto the pull up assist. And if there's not a pull up assist, you can use bands. And if you don't have bands, you can grab their feet and have them quad extension their way to the top of the movement, right? Um, Tough to cue hip extension during that. The pull up assist is a really important piece of equipment. A couple notes. You want unless you got a well-trained athlete who understands how to use a barbell, which are few and far between. I cannot count the number of athletes I met who don't know how to properly grip the barbell. But anyway, um, then you want to work with a neutral grip because you're asking for maximum exertion, and people tend to tweak their elbows and wrists if they haven't been training, and suddenly you put them under a lot of load. So, since the pull up is king, we'll start with the athlete version. Um, the floor is lava. Get them to the top of the neutral grip bar so that the base of the thumb is pulled into the chest and the bar is touching their clavicle, and ask them to stay there as long as they can. When they start to come down, encourage them to stop and just hold right where they are. Um, in the exceptionally well trained athlete, you can do this one arm at a time. um, when they do get down to a straight arm, you encourage them to keep their grip, right? With all pulling movements, you've got to cue the grip the way that you want it. And since we're going for maximal exertion of the whole line here, we need everything engaged. The thumb and the forefinger are one myofascial line, and the other three fingers are a second myofascial line. So when you go to wrap, you want to combine the lines. So you hook and then you put the thumb over the base of the first two fingers and you squeeze. And that allows everything in here to fire smoothly. There are other grips for other things, okay? But just for the purposes of the assessment, for the pulling movement, that's the kind of, for unilateral pulling movement or neutral grip pulling movement, that's the grip we want. Okay. Um, I think that's so, and G pop, you cue them the same way, except they're on the assist, right? If they seem like they freaked out by just doing total body weight, which if they're over 30% body fat, they should be a little freaked out because they're not going to be able to stay up there very long and you don't want to put them through that. So use the assist. When in doubt, you can always change the weight. Okay. And failure of the entire line. I've used this phrase before. I don't know if I've completely explained the concept. I will do my best. Okay. Failure of the line means you got myofascial meridians in your body, which mirror, like they go with the nerve pathways. And using the pull as an example, your grip is the last thing to fail. Like if you're holding on and you're told to stay here as long as you can, these muscles fail out first, right? You don't hold at the top and all of a sudden the grip just lets go when you're genuinely trying to stay there for as long as possible. No, the line rides all the way out, and then the fingertips give out last. And what you'll find when the fingertips give out is that it's painless. All right. It goes from white hot to painless over the course of like a second and a half. Well, body depending. I'm sure there's some variance to this. All right. It's just how it feels in my body. And that means you sent the signal. You told the body, hey, we need more in this area. So, mission accomplished. Then we can move on to the next thing. It also leaves the client in the precise hormonal state that you want for the next step. This applies to all of the movements. So the bird dog row, when you're done with the bird dog row and they've done as many reps as they can do, and that last eccentric, you're like, hold it, don't let it come down, don't let it come down, don't let it come down, and then, it comes down anyway, okay. You still got to have them hold at the bottom until the grip fails out. And you can give them a little support wherever you need to, or allow them to place their elevated, because you're in bird dog, right, leg down, as long as we're still burning out the line.